week we're going to be covering something of my own invention. Well, me and vodka in college. We are going to be covering... Can you see it? You can't see it. It says my husband list, or husband list to be more specific and more general. Anyone can have one. I'm a firm believer in them. I think it keeps the human race going, you know? Not really. It doesn't really help anyone except for me and my frustrations about being single and alone. But if you follow, I have failed to mention all these episodes. I have a podcast with my sister called Don't Worry, Stay Tuned. You can attribute that to my outro. The little don't worry, stay tuned part kind of comes from my podcast. I have it with my sister and I love it, and we do this thing, well, it's our first year, but I do this thing at the beginning of the year. I've been doing it since college. Let me tell you a tale, children. One drunk night, me and my friends gathered around and they asked me who I would bang. Like, what celebrity would I go downtown with? Who would be my husband of choice? And the vodka in me wanted to answer everyone, but I made a concise list of the top 10 celebrities that I would immediately take to the chapel and have them put a ring on it. And ever since then, this was like my sophomore year of college, ever since then, I'm clearly out of college now, I've been doing this frequently. I make my husband list every year and I send it out to them, and I also do mid-year updates. So I'm just going to quickly go through my husband list. I'll move over and I'll put them on this side of me over Lionel Richie's face. Okay, so last year's, or this 2019's husband list was Burnham. He was the top of the list. He got there because I've always been a fan of his comedy stylings. I love a man who can sing, as you can tell by my plenty two BTS videos. And 8th Grade had come out like recently when I was making the list, and he made it on there. I still think he's great, but I don't know if let's see if he stays for the half-year update. Number 2, Manny Montana. I love Manny Montana. If you don't know Manny Montana, your life is slipping. Your life is slipping. And it's not to your own fault, it's to Hollywood's fault, because they need to cast him more. He's currently in a show called Good Girls. He plays the sexiest drug dealer I have ever seen in my life on television. It's ridiculous, but I think he's amazing. I think he is A1, beautiful, lovely, a fantastic actor. Next up on the list is actually David Dobrik. Ha ha ha, a YouTuber. I know, crazy, right? Insane. David Dobrik made the list. I was really in a dark place last year. And I'll probably talk about this more in my next video that is actually dedicated. It's going to be called Dear Mr. Dobrik. But I was in a really dark place, and I watched all his vlogs, and I just got introduced to them when I was making this list, and he made the cut, you know. He's cute little chipmunk face, you know. Next on the list was James McAvoy. Now, Split was anticipated to come out. He was in something else. I love James McAvoy. Like, I've watched every movie he's ever been in. I'm even going to watch It, the movie. Like, you guys know from my last video, the movie It freaks me out. It scares me. It terrifies me. It shakes me to my bone. And I think I saw the original version when I was a kid. And when they did a remake, I didn't want to see it. I didn't want to have any part of it, and I didn't. But they're doing a part 2, and it is starring him. I'm like, what am I supposed to do? It's starring him and then the guy from Shadowhunters. So what am I supposed to do? Even if the guy from Shadowhunters wasn't in it, I have to watch It now, just so I can watch It Chapter 2, so that I can see this man. It's insane. Whatever, the things we do for love. I literally wrote a tweet about this. Anyways, Next up was Rami Malek. This was fresh off of Bohemian Rhapsody. I had just binged the first season of Mr. Robot, and I was really feeling him. I really love the way he interacts in interviews. I think it's really sweet. I think it's really lovely. And he was just there for me. Like, it's weird to say, but like, he was there, and he was a beautiful man. Like, of course. After this one is going to shock you guys. Shock, I guess, isn't the right word. It's just it's a strange pick. Not strange. I'm making this way. He's a handsome man and very, very talented. So it's not weird, but it's weird because he's not like a celebrity. He is a lot of the times in the background of stuff. And it's Andrew Zylicky you may know him from Shane Dawson TV, like, you know, the Shane and Friends squad. I call them the Shane squad or the Shane and Friends squad, you know, Morgan, Rylan, Garrett. But I chose Andrew Zylicky. I love his laugh. His laugh is super, super infectious. I love watching Shane Dawson videos a lot. I started watching with the Trisha episode, the Trisha thing, because I had like watched Shane Dawson when I was younger, then I like fell off, of course. Not of course, but I fell off, and then he did the thing with Trisha, and then, like, you know, Trisha was on David's vlogs, all this other stuff. I was going back and I watched it, and then I started watching his other content, and I literally was like, who is laughing in the background? And then I saw the video where he was like exposing my cameraman, and I was like, oh great, love it, you know. And then I saw who it was, and I was like, ooh, great, love it even more. And then I started watching Carly and Aaron's videos during my whole David Dobrik spiral. And I saw him in it, and I was like, great, love it even more. Like, it was just like, he's everywhere. It's great. He's very talented. I do love his, him and Shane's editing styles, their shooting styles, very iconic. Love what they're doing with the documentary series, and, you know, just changing the game. And he's also very hot. Like noticeably hot. Like, he's so hot, he's a ginger. There was no other option because they were like five alarm fire on him. Next up would be Lamar Jackson. Now, if you don't know Lamar Jackson, you're slipping. You're completely slipping. You're sleeping on the wrong people, because Lamar Jackson is a beautiful dancer and a wonderful actor. He was in The Hate U Give. He played Seven, my favorite character in The Hate U Give. Everybody else was kind of annoying, but he was lovely. He was also Wes on The Next Step, which is a kid's show I used to watch. Like, I'm not waiting for the next season to drop on Hulu. He was Wes. He's an amazing b-boy, amazing dancer, does ballet and contemporary as well, and it was just a pleasure to see him. I had just watched The Hate U Give, and I was excited to see him. Then I watched Kings. Didn't like that movie as much, but I loved him in it. And I went to Sundance and I watched Native Son, and he was in it, and I was like, he was my favorite character in that whole movie. Him and Nick Robinson, who ironically didn't make the list, which is weird because I'm always talking about Nick Robinson, but whatever. Next up is Jacob Banks. I love Jacob Banks. I saw him in concert, and I gave him like, I went to Nigeria to work, and I gave Jacob Banks like the first Naira I ever made when I was in Nigeria. He's just a beautiful singer. He punches you in the gut like you've never been punched before, with his voice, with his like smoothness. Think if V from BTS had a rasp like gravel and a countryman smoking jar. I don't know. It's the most beautiful voice in the game, in music. I think he's one of the most talented male vocalists out right now. And he's beautiful as well. And he's Nigerian, and my mom would love for me to bring him home. But that's weird, because we don't really know each other. Last on the list was Taron Egerton? I'm always so confused how to say his name. I love him. Again, like, I've loved him since Kingsman, the first Kingsman. I saw him in the first Kingsman, and I was like, who is that? Oh, hubba hubba, wow, wow. Like, you know, kind of stuff. He was really, really cute. He was funny. He was British. Those passed all my qualifications at the time. And then he just started showing up. I unpopular opinion, I like The Last Robin Hood. I mean, do I think it was a masterpiece? No. I think that there are some things that could have been tweaked about it, but I think that it shouldn't have got as much hate as it did because it's pretty freaking good. But I saw him in that. I saw him, he's another actor that I've seen most of his movies purely because he's in them, you know? So those were my husbands. That's on my husband list of 2019. It's not quite June yet, but I'm going to give you guys a sneak preview. These people did not make it to the end. There are a bunch of people on here who did not make it to the end, starting with Bo Burnham. Like, I love him. The Straight White Man is one of my favorite, not even Straight White Man. What is it? The Kanye rap he did when he was like, I don't think that I can handle this, right? Is one of my favorite videos on YouTube to date. Like, to date. Like, it's just insane, but I can't in good conscience keep him on my list when they're just like, I just recently got introduced to BTS, the Jonas Brothers got back together. I might add Sophie Turner to my list even though she's a woman and I'm straight. Like, she's just enamoring, so I don't even know. Like, I don't know, man. It's really hard to think about because I'm not ready to let go of these people, but I definitely need to make some changes because they're not all gonna make it to the end. Let's just be the end being the end of the year, but the end also being next month. I'm definitely probably going to add one of the members of BTS on there. Hint, it may not be RM, it could be Suga, it could be V, I don't know. He might make it onto the list. Another person who might make it onto the list is Hosier. Hosier might make it onto the list. He almost made it onto the list initially, but I had to cut him off because I had too many people. It's top 10, not like top 12. David Dobrik he might get the boot. Just because, I don't know. I mean, I'll talk about it more in my next video, but yeah, David Dobrik might not make the list again, but that means there's space. There's space for other people, including maybe Sophie Turner. Man, she's amazing. Sorry, she's just amazing. I have a problem. But yeah, okay. That is my husband's list for 2019. I just wanted to share that with you guys because I know a lot of you probably don't. I didn't plug the podcast, and I know a lot of you probably didn't listen to the podcast. If you want to hear me once a month argue with my sister about whether Disney Channel's doing its job, you know, then we could definitely do that. It was great talking to you guys. Don't worry, I'll be back, so stay tuned. Oh, and don't forget to follow me on Twitter and Instagram at yummy.com.